Let me start with a confession. For most of my life, I believed that willpower was the answer to everything. I'm an Army veteran, and I came into the world where you push through, you adapt, you overcome, and you don't make excuses. So when my own brain would not cooperate with me, when I would sit down to do something very simple and just freeze, I did the only thing that I had been trained to do. I tried harder and harder, and it didn't work. So if you have ADHD, and if you've spent years being told that you just need to have more discipline, just have more motivation, more willpower, I need you to stay here with me for about 12 minutes or so, because today I'm going to show you why willpower is the wrong tool for any ADHD brain and what actually works instead. My name is Dr. Jamey Cunningham. I'm a health psychologist. I'm an Army veteran and someone who has spent 30 years fighting my own brain before I finally understood it. Welcome to Dragonfly Mindset. Let's get into it. So here's the belief that almost everyone with ADHD has been handed. The belief that focus is a moral issue, that if you really cared, if you wanted it badly enough, you would just do the thing. We treat attention like it is a measure of character, and that belief does real damage to a lot of people. Let me give you the numbers, because the numbers matter. According to the CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an estimated 15 million and a half American adults, which is about 6%, had a current ADHD diagnosis in 2023. And about half of them were never ever diagnosed until they were an adult. That means that millions of people spent decades believing that they were lazy or broken and people judged them, when what they actually had was a brain that processes motivation chemically different. Now, ADHD is not a knowing problem, it's a doing problem. One of the leading researchers in the field, Dr. Russell Barkley, put it this way. He says that ADHD is not a disorder of knowing what to do, it's a disorder of doing what you know. Now, again, ADHD is not a disorder of knowing what to do, it is a disorder of doing what you know. People with ADHD usually know exactly what they should be doing. You don't need to tell them, they know. The knowledge is not missing. What is missing is the bridge between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And willpower is not that bridge. So if it is not willpower, what is it? The answer is something called executive function. Let me explain that term clearly, because it is the single most important idea in this entire video. Executive function is the set of mental skills that your brain uses to manage itself. Think of it as a management team inside your head, and the team is responsible for starting a task and holding information in your mind while you use it, planning ahead, organizing the steps, managing the time, controlling the impulses, and regulating emotion. In a brain without ADHD, that management team mostly runs in the background automatically. In a brain with ADHD, that team is understaffed and they're inconsistent. The skills are there, but they don't have enough fire to be reliably using it on demand. Now, this is not a metaphor, it is 100% biology. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain right behind your forehead that runs executive function, develops and operates differently in people with ADHD. So a big piece of this involves a brain chemical called dopamine. You probably heard about that. Most people think dopamine is a pleasure chemical. That's not quite right. Dopamine is the motivation and reward chemical. It is what tells your brain that something is worth paying attention to and worth doing. The ADHD brain tends to run low on available dopamine in the regions of the brain that drive focus and follow through. Now, here's what that feels like from the inside. When a task is interesting or urgent or novel or challenging, your brain produces enough dopamine and you can focus like a laser beam. But people call this even hyperfocus. But when a task is boring or repetitive or has no immediate payoff, the dopamine does not show up. And no amount of willpower can actually manufacture that dopamine. This is why a person with ADHD can write a business plan overnight, but cannot make themselves answer a simple email for 3 weeks. Because it's boring. Writing the business plan is cool because it's exciting, it's new, it's a challenge. So this is not a character flaw. It is a fuel problem. Now, Dr. Edward Hollowell, a psychiatrist who has ADHD himself and has studied it for 40 years, describes it beautifully. He says a person with ADHD has the power of a Ferrari engine, but the brakes of a bicycle. Now, the engine is not the problem. The brakes are. And willpower is just you stomping harder on the brakes that were never built to stop that much power in the Ferrari. Now, here's a part that nobody talks about. Relying on willpower does not just fail. It actively makes things worse. Every time that you set a goal that depends on raw discipline, like setting a goal, gonna work out, gonna change my diet, gonna learn a new language, gonna go apply for that job, whatever the case may be, and your ADHD brain cannot deliver on that task or that goal, you do not just miss the goal. You add another piece of evidence to a story that your brain carries with it that you've been building your whole life. It's the story that says something is wrong with you, or something is wrong with me. I can't be trusted. I always do this. Why can't I just do better? Why am I not a better this or a better that? And that shame is very corrosive. And it is one reason that ADHD so rarely travels alone. ADHD always has a companion. Even the CDC reports that the large majority of children with ADHD, nearly 4 out of 5, have at least one other condition alongside ADHD, very often anxiety or depression. And in adults, that pattern continues. The anxiety and the low mood are frequently not separate diseases. Most people who have anxiety and depression more than likely have ADHD and vice versa. So they are the scar tissue from years of trying to run an ADHD brain on willpower and blaming yourself when you're not good enough. So when I tell you to stop relying on willpower, I'm not letting you off the hook. In fact, I even wrote a book on it. I'm trying to get you off the treadmill that has been beating you up your entire life or for years or for decades. Now, on this channel, as a psychologist, I want to look at everything through what is called the BioPsychosocial model. The BioPsychosocial model, or BPS, let me apply my ADHD to this exact same problem because it changes the whole picture once you understand it. So biologically, your brain runs low on dopamine. So it's a biology issue. And that drives the lack of follow-through, and your executive function is inconsistent. So the biological move is to stop trying to generate motivation from nothing. And instead, you have to build external systems that supply the structure that your brain does not produce on its own. And I'll explain that later in a lot more detail. But psychologically, we have biological, now we're talking about psychological, the second spoke of this triad. Psychologically, you have to dismantle the willpower story. You are not lazy. You have a regulation difference. And replacing self-attack with self-understanding is not soft. It is strategic, because shame burns the very fuel that you need to act. And then we have socially and environmentally. That's the third component, biopsychosocial. You design your surroundings, your lifestyle, so that the right action is the easiest action for you to do. You have to learn how to remove friction from what you want to do, and you add friction to what you want to avoid. Now, I know that sounds backward, but to an ADHD brain, that's also backward. Now, for a lot of us, we're a little dyslexic too. So if that makes sense, you have to learn how to do a little bit different or read differently. So it's like putting things in reverse. And once you understand that process, then it becomes simple. When you work with all three layers of the biopsychosocial at one time, you stop fighting your brain and you start working with it. Okay, now I want to give you some takeaways. One, you have to externalize everything. And most ADHD people, we internalize everything, which is the exact wrong thing to do. The ADHD brain has a weak internal manager, so that guy needs to be fired. So what you do is you move the manager outside your head. You don't keep, for example, a to-do list in your mind. As soon as you have something that you need to do, you need to get a piece of paper and you write it out, or you get a phone where you can see it and you put the task there. Once it's out of your head, you can accomplish that, because then it's easy. So you're moving the I need to do this from thinking about it to there. And once you're not thinking about it and you can see it externally, it's like a whole different picture. You have to make time visible with a clock or a visual timer, because the ADHD brain generally struggles to feel the passage of time, if that makes sense. Second takeaway is use what is called body doubling. Body doubling means doing a task in the presence of another person, even if they are doing something completely different. Now, if you have a friend, try to do a video call. If you're married or you have a partner or a best friend, then do a video call. Do the things that you need to do. Throw it on FaceTime or a Zoom chat or something. It's amazing, if you know that you're being watched, how the ADHD brain can all of a sudden really focus. Now, I have developed different tricks. I actually, and I kind of learned this from my blessed mother, she used to talk to herself all the time. And I know that now, back in those days, ADHD wasn't a diagnosis, but now looking back at it, I know that she had ADHD. And it was, now she was able to pinpoint the focus, but she would always talk to herself. My grandmother did it as well. So what I do is when I'm alone, I have imaginary friends. And I say that not because I'm seeing people. I know that they're not seeing there, but I am pretending that they're listening to me, watching me, and I'm talking about, or that I hear them. I try to pretend like I hear them talking about me, and I'm able to focus on doing things. And there's a whole technique that I teach in my book and in my courses on how to do this. So the other thing is, there are online what are called focus rooms. And focus rooms, like one of the focus rooms that I'm putting together is in my support group on Facebook. So if you buy my book, that is one of the things that you can be part of, and people can get inside that Facebook support group. And we're going to set it up where there will be the ability to, if you're trying to do a task, you team up with a battle buddy, so to speak, and you focus. You do your thing, I do my thing, but then we're just on video with each other. We don't have to talk to each other. We don't have to communicate with each other, but our brains are then becoming focused. And so being in the presence of another person changes your brain state and it helps you actually accomplish the task that you start. I use this consistently. So the third takeaway is shrink the starting line. The hardest moment for an ADHD brain is the very beginning component of the task or the to-do list. So make the beginning almost laughably small, super, super easy. Do not tell yourself to clean the kitchen or clean the garage. Tell yourself, go pick up that one cup, go pick up that one box. If you have to write a report, don't say, I need to write a report. Just say, I set the task as open up the computer and turn it on. Type one sentence, type the heading, something very, very small. That starting is the bottleneck. So attack the very beginning, because once you start, boom, it starts to roll. The fourth takeaway is attach the boring thing to a source of dopamine. If a task is dull, and we all do dull, boring things all the time at work, pair it with something that you like. Pair it with music, pair it with movement, or a reward, or a treat, or a deadline that you create with another person. Now, this is not cheating. This is a hack for life for ADHD people to become highly successful. Some of my clients that I've been coaching and working with for years have now become highly successful in their endeavors. Some of them become doctors. Some of them become lawyers. Some of them become business owners. Some of them become very successful where they floundered for many years. But once we learn how to train their brain and they understand their brain, it's like a superhero power. And the fifth thing is build in accountability. A standing check-in with another person is one of the most powerful ADHD tools that exist, because the social pressure provides the urgency that your brain cannot manufacture on your own. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that I have a report that I need to do. Well, I might call my buddy and say, hey, listen, it's 10 o'clock right now. By 12:30, I take my lunch break. I am going to, if you will, shoot me a text at 12:30 and ask if I'm done or how far along I am, so that I have that external deadline, and that provides the urgency in many cases. Now, I want to leave you with this. For 30 plus years, I thought my problem was that I did not have enough willpower. The truth was that I was using the wrong tool for the brain that I have. And the day that I stopped trying to out-discipline my ADHD and I started to build systems around my life and around my ADHD diagnosis, my whole life changed. You are not weak. You are not broken. You have a very powerful engine, and you simply need to get a better set of brakes. So if this video has helped you understand yourself just a little bit better, do 3 things for me. Like it so that people who need it can find it. Subscribe. I'm building this as a brand new channel. I could really use the help. Subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming next. And share it with at least one person in your life who has spent way too long blaming themselves. Now, I wrote about this all in my book, ADHD and Emotional Mastery, and you can grab a chapter for free in the link in the description. So I will see you in the next one.